When I hit Zombie Slayer 8, I was excited for one reason, and for one reason only. Initially, I wasn't bothered about the extra health regen, or the Axe of the Shredded. The only thing that I was really bothered about was the Warden helmet. But why? After all, the Warden helmet is probably the most expensive helmet in the game, and from that, in theory, it should be the best. However, when I got my Warden helmet, I was really quite disappointed, and I'm sure a lot of you probably would have felt the same way. After all, when you're spending 170 mil for pretty much a base helmet, you are expecting the best. Well, what does the Warden Heart even do? What are the stats? Let's take a look. Gives us plus 300 health, plus 100 defense, and also the Brute Force ability. Halves your speed, but grants 20% extra base weapon damage for every 25 speed. So, realistically, no matter what you do, consistently you're going to be capped at 200 speed. To be honest, I currently have 400 speed and this just feels normal. When you go down to 200, it feels very slow. The one helmet on, and yeah, it just is very slow. Usually most people have 400 speed, and then trying to do the same activities and tasks with 200 speed is pretty inefficient. However, if you buy the Warden Heart, of course you're going to know about the speed issue, so you're obviously willing to forfeit some speed for damage. Now realistically, the Warden Helmet's fiercest competitor is probably something like a Tarantula Helmet, or potentially even a Crimson Helmet. However, we're going to test our Tarantula Helmet against our Warden Helmet, and I want to see the difference in damage. Now, with both setups, we're going to use this 3/4 Necron, and then we're just going to switch the helmet out. Okay, so the weapon we're going to use is this giant sword, and we have this golden dragon pet equipped too. Okay, so we're going to test our damage against a zombie, and let's just do another hit to make sure it's consistent. I honestly didn't see that at all. If we can get a proper hit, our damage is going to be 518k, between 515 to 520k. We then switch out to our Warden helmet. I am curious to see the difference straight up. So we were doing between 515 and 520k. Of course, we're way slower, but we now deal 613k damage. Okay, so we substitute 200 speed, but we gain around about 100k damage with this setup. So what that really means is when we equip our Warden helmet from the Tarantula helmet, we lose 50% speed, but we gain around about 18.6% damage. Now don't get me wrong, that is quite a substantial amount of damage. Like realistically, there's not many other things that are gonna cause such a drastic increase in damage. But at the same time, I don't know whether I'm willing to forfeit being a snail, you know, to do that much more damage. I mean, maybe if you did 50% more damage, I'd be a bit more enticed. And when you consider the cheapest racing helmet on the auction house is 770 mil, and obviously that increases your speed cap to 500, it really does show where the priorities of Hypixel Skyblock players are at. And yeah, speed is everything. But is there any use for this Warden helmet? In any realm of Skyblock, is there any point in having it? Well, we'll get into that in just a moment. But before we do, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Become part of the 24% if you do watch the videos, there's no reason not to. Also, you should join the Discord server, it's linked in the description of every single video. Go ahead and join. Now realistically, the only time that I would say Warden Heart is even usable is when you don't need speed. And I guess you could argue, well, you can put the Warden helmet on and then you can just teleport around using your ALTV. Yeah, you could do that. That is just ridiculously impractical though. Like if I'm paying 170 mil for a helmet, I don't want to have to switch to something else to teleport around. No. And remember, 170 mil is the base helmet. If you want a good one, you're looking at well in excess of 200 mil. Think about it, this is the best helmet in the game. Can you do dungeons with it? No. How about Slayers? Not really. Do you need a Warden helmet to do revs? Absolutely not. No chance in a million years. How about Sven's? Once again, no chance. Tarantula? No. E-Man? No. I personally have barely ever even done Blaze Slayer, and from what I've looked into and from the people I've asked, apparently it is needed for Blaze Slayer. But then again, barely anyone is doing Blaze Slayer. The barriers to entry are just simply too high for majority of players. Apparently it could also be used in Kudra as well, but I would assume that's probably further into Kudra, like late game Kudra. I'm talking the higher tiers. Once again, something that majority of players aren't even doing. Now, strangely enough, when I've been grinding ghosts, I've seen some people using Warden helmet. Personally, I don't see like how, because I tried to use it, and you need speed for this. Maybe you don't need 400, but you definitely need more than 200. It is painfully slow. Meanwhile, yeah, it will allow you to do more damage, and potentially it could allow you to one-hit them if you can't already. But at the same time, it's just so... I've tried it, it's just inefficient. So great, yeah, the Warden helmet makes you deal more damage, and it pretty much always will. But majority of things that you want to grind or do in Skyblock are just inefficient with slower speed, as you can imagine. Obviously there are like select things where it would be beneficial to be a bit slower, and that's why I've heard that doing Blaze Slayer with Warden helmet is actually better because the speed makes it easier. At that point, yeah, it's a win-win. But at this point, the best helmet in the game, it has like barely 1 or 2 uses, which means for majority of people playing the game, kind of useless. And that would be fine if this helmet wasn't so expensive. Now honestly, sticking with the Zombie Slayer theme, considering, well, you need Zombie Slayer 8 in order to even be able to use or craft the Warden helmet, that could be quite an easy solution to the speed issue. When you kill zombies, you drop ghoul pets. Realistically, it's not really a pet that's used that much. Considering the stats, at level 100 it's going to buff your vitality, it's also going to buff the zombie sword. It also basically buffs your summons that come out of your Reaper Scythe. No one uses a zombie sword, and they're definitely not going to use it with a level 100 legendary ghoul pet. So this pet could just be increased by something that increases the speed cap on the Warden helmet. Obviously the price of the pet would go up, but I mean, I just think it's a good idea. Now, I know some people are going to completely disagree with what I've said in this video, and that's fine. This is my opinion, and this is what I think is right. Obviously, everyone can think whatever they want. And to be fair, I guess you could argue, well, the Blaze Slayer is, well, the latest game Slayer. It's the newest Slayer, and it's most definitely the hardest Slayer to do. Therefore, wouldn't it require the best helmet on the game to do? Similar thing goes for Kudra, considering, I mean, you've got to be pretty geared to do higher tiers of Kudra, and, well, probably the best helmet in the game should help you towards that. But when they're the only 2 real uses for the helmet altogether, it's a bit of a con. But anyway, let me know what you think about the Warden helmet. Is it worth the price? Is it good enough to be deemed one of the best helmets in the game when it is pretty much kind of unusable for a lot of things? Do you even think it's unusable? I mean, I personally do to an extent, but I know people think otherwise. But anyway, let me know what you think of the Warden helmet in the comments. Do you personally use it? Do you think it's worth using? Do you think it's worth the coins? For me, the Tarantula helmet is way more versatile, and the damage difference is not really as significant as the decrease in speed. But anyway, if you did enjoy today's video, make sure you do leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.